Coming up on tonight's newscast, will Donald Trump unveils plans to open up the country? Will it work? Rowan University braces for new changes, and how the coronavirus is affecting students and their futures.
Republicans who are eager to deflect criticisms of Trump's handling of the pandemic.
Starbucks is preparing to reopen dining cafes after some U.S. states report a plateau in coronavirus cases. On March 21st, the coffee chain closed its doors and has only allowed delivery services and drive-through, no dining. Starbucks leaders are monitoring local statuses of the health crisis and taking guidelines from officials. They will open their doors slowly. Some cafes will continue as a drive-through only, while others may reopen for to-go orders. The coronavirus has been especially deadly for people in nursing homes. Right in New Jersey, we're learning an overwhelmed facility put 17 bodies in a mob that was big enough for just 4. Jonathan Vigilanti reports on the nationwide concerns.
The Canterbury Rehabilitation and Healthcare Center in Richmond, Virginia, is one of the hardest hit facilities in the country. Medical Director Jim Wright has lost 45 residents.
We have been fighting a battle with COVID-19 for the past month now, and it is a battle that at times we feel we're losing.
It's a grim scene repeated across the nation, prompting governors in several states, including Massachusetts and Florida, to deploy the National Guard to run tests. Experts say the lack of mandatory testing for residents and employees, staffing issues, and a shortage of personal protective equipment are the biggest problems. Nurse Sherry Martinez asked us not to identify the California nursing facility where she works.
One of the things that I've been doing is getting garbage bags and putting them over my arms.
Federal officials are also facing criticism for not publicly tracking infections and deaths in these facilities. We reached out to every state, but only got complete data from 19. We also included county data and information from facilities themselves. Officials confirmed more than 35,000 seniors and staff have tested positive. More than 5,700 have died.
It sounds like our most vulnerable, the elderly, are sitting ducks in these facilities.
They are. People who work there are the most underpaid. I used to call the ugly stepsisters of the healthcare industry because we don't pay enough attention. We don't pay the nurses' aides enough.
Some employees, presumably fearing for their own safety, are refusing to come to work. Last week at the Magnolia Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Riverside, California, only one nursing assistant showed up, forcing the county to evacuate 84 residents. Donna Reno's husband, Don, was a patient there.
Ambulances lined up, ready to, take everyone out and, get them out of that facility.
Don Reno tested positive and is now running a fever.
But just have to hang in there and, hopefully everything will be good for everybody.
And Rena says after her husband was evacuated from this facility, it took her more than a day to locate him. She actually had to contact the local police department. The Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, which oversee nursing homes, is now working with the CDC to increase reporting. How they will do so and what numbers they will make available at this point still unclear. Meanwhile, we will continue to make those calls state by state. Jonathan Bigliotti, CBS News, Riverside, California.
Major changes the White House is proposing.
Thank you, Frank. President Trump just released the Opening Up America Again document. This document says that states that show a downward trend in COVID-19 cases will be able to reopen locations that aren't essential, following a new plan that consists of 3 phases. Trump told governors on a conference call that it's up to them to lead a charge on how to reopen parts of society. He says these decisions were made after he consulted with business leaders. According to reports, the U.S. labor market is getting closer to depression levels. Last week, an additional 5.2 million people filed for unemployment benefits, and 22 million Americans have filed jobless claims over the past month. The first wave of stimulus payments have started to come in, as many took to social media to announce receiving the money. However, glitches are preventing millions from receiving theirs. Many memes and videos have been made in response to either enjoying the check or saying how it's not enough. The coronavirus checks aren't for everyone, and if you didn't qualify, you won't be receiving the $1,200 payout. Meanwhile, the White House is defending Ivanka Trump on her decision to travel to the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, to celebrate the first night of Passover. Despite federal guidelines and a stay-at-home order for Washington residents, Ivanka traveled with her husband and children. The White House acknowledged her trip and said the golf club is considered a family home for her. They also said, quote, her travel was no different than had she been traveling to and from work, and the location was less populated than the surrounding area near her home in DC. Although residents can leave home for essential activities, some argue that her leaving was not essential. Back to you, Frank.
Thanks, Alyssa. Now, some news on the Rowan home front.
That's right. Gary Erdely has some information about upcoming classes. A lot of changes. So, has Rowan announced anything about classes moving forward past the spring semester, Gary?
Yeah, Rowan has made changes, especially to summer courses. They will be staying online just like the spring semester now is doing. All more than 500 summer courses will now be online. As for some more activities such as orientation, all in-person orientation programs scheduled for June have been canceled, and the decision on orientation programs planned for July and some even August will be made a little bit later on. However, for Rowan, they have not made any announcements regarding anything past June, going into late July, August, and the fall semester. Right now, we'll still go as planned. However, things can change at any moment, as we've now seen that happen.
What specifically has been announced as canceled?
So, orientations being the big one, really anything up till July. That's what it's come down to. All residential events, all non-residential events are canceled throughout the month of June, and all athletics camps and such like that have been canceled through the end of June as well.
So with athletics, what does that mean for the fall sports that would start training camps?
So a lot of the fall sports for Rowan Athletics won't really face too big of an issue at this moment because they usually won't start till late July, some early August anyway, going into the fall semester. However, this is more for camp clinics, stuff like that, for the programs that put them on for younger kids in the area and such like that. They will be canceled in person, and if anyone is scheduled to do anything throughout June, that would be canceled. But for going forward in the fall semester for fall athletics, they right now will not be affected.
Thanks, Gary. A Rowan University grad is serving on a federal task force. Rebecca Lewandowski is belonging on the force that is leading the U.S. medical response to coronavirus. She says that as a scientist and as an American, she looks at the work as patriotic and a way to give back. They are working so quickly to develop a vaccine. Some faculty and alumni from Rowan University team up to fight against COVID-19. Old members of the Disaster Science and Emergency Management Program are working with federal, state, county, and local agencies while researchers seek a cure and vaccine. The professionals are bringing expert advice during crises to the classroom to prepare students to manage resources and information in virtuality and emergency. Rowan is the only school in the state to offer a bachelor's degree in emergency preparedness.
Rowan University is going to be offering over 500 classes this summer. Courses that were originally scheduled to be face-to-face are now going to happen remotely. The incoming undergraduate summer orientation that is normally scheduled in June will also be moved online for students. Rowan is going to offer an on-campus orientation to students to create IDs and register for courses in July if the campus is open by then. All summer residential, non-residential, and athletic programs are canceled until further notice. Now, over to Renee Waters reporting from Glassboro, New Jersey on how the virus is affecting her neck of the woods. What exactly are officials saying about coronavirus in your area, Renee?
Well, officials want to assure that the citizens of Glassboro are planning daily to address the needs of the community. They also continue to navigate the coronavirus through this difficult time.
Has there been any incidents regarding the coronavirus in your township?
Recently, officials had to shut down a party in Glassboro and Hollybush Gardens that contained more than 15 people. Police are saying that there were possibly at least 2 people showing signs of coronavirus, and those who threw the party are being held accountable.
How many cases of coronavirus are in Glassboro?
There are about 10 cases of coronavirus, including the Rowan cases. There hasn't been any deaths, and everyone has been hospitalized and seem to be recovering well, as far as officials say.
Has there been any rules that have changed within the township as far as stores?
Well, actually, ShopRite in Glassboro has changed their capacity for people to enter the store. There's only 50 people allowed, so if you want to go grocery shopping, there may be a little wait time before you can actually go and stop shopping. They also have senior citizen hours, so no one can enter the store between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. for the time being.
Thanks, Renee.
You're welcome.
Philadelphia hotels have now opened their hotels for overflows. Hospitals in their region are now filled to the capacity of COVID-19 patients. 2 hotels, Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott in Center City and Spring Hill Suites at the Philadelphia Airport, have signed lease agreements with the city to use as space for first responders in quarantine and isolation. Officials said Temple University also plans to open by April 16th to help bed 180 people to care for more patients. Catering by Design was scheduled to serve dinner at an Elegant Opera fundraiser for the homeless on Broad Street in Philadelphia. Mike Dahl and his ministry have served as many as 3,600 meals a day at centrally located sites to people experiencing homelessness in Philadelphia. Broad Street Ministries' goals is to safely ensure homelessness people have access to 2 meals a day at a time, as hunger crisis continues to grow in Philadelphia.
Coming up, the largest pork processor shuts down due to the coronavirus, and a look at entertainment with Dylan Peters.
Unemployment because of coronavirus leads to some mixed results in the stock market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average started this afternoon down, but has since bounced back, and the Nasdaq has stayed positive among all the controversy. Elsewhere, it was a huge day for Amazon and Netflix, each hitting record intraday highs. Facebook has put in anti-misinformation posts on the newsfeed of people who have engaged with fake coronavirus stories. This continues Facebook efforts to stop the spread of false information. It will work by putting a box on posts that Facebook has taken down or flagged, encouraging viewers to visit the World Health Organization site. Facebook is separately launching a Get the Facts section full of vetted news about the pandemic.
Now let's get an update on entertainment with Dylan.
Thanks, Frank. Saturday Night Live star Michael Che made a post on his Instagram account announcing his plans on paying for 1 month's rent for everyone living in his late grandmother's public housing complex. The post has also Che expressing how he feels it is unfair for New Yorkers in public housing to still have to pay for rent, knowing that they're currently out of work. Even though his grandmother moved out of those apartments in the 90s, Che still wants to pay for the rent of all 160 apartments in honor of his late grandmother who passed away due to the virus. With Star Wars Day a couple weeks away, fans of the popular Disney Plus series The Mandalorian are in for a treat. Disney's streaming service is premiering Disney Gallery The Mandalorian. This docuseries will take fans behind the scenes of the show in 8 episodes. On May 4th, the first episode will be released, with the new one being streamed every Friday. Executive producer Jon Favreau said the show is an opportunity for fans of the show to take a look inside and get to see a different perspective and perhaps a greater understanding of how The Mandalorian came together and some of the incredibly talented contributors throughout season 1. And Swizz Beatz and Timbaland, arguably 2 of the greatest producers of their generation, have been providing much needed entertainment to the masses via Instagram. They've been hosting a virtual hip hop battle called Versus. Each producer will play about 20 songs each live on their Instagram and have fans decide for themselves who won. So far, we've gotten Scott Storch versus Manny Fresh, DJ Premier versus The RZA, and much more. Thousands of people have watched these battles, and the number will only continue to rise as we look for anything to get us through these tough times. That's it for entertainment. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dylan. The National Comedy Center in Jamestown, New York, like many other businesses, has been closed for safety precautions. Fortunately, the museum is launching a new online content platform today called National Comedy Center Anywhere. This new platform will feature exclusive content straight from its interactive comedy exhibits. The Anywhere platform will also provide rare items and documents from the greatest comedians ever, along with live stream stand-up shows in the next couple weeks. One of the nation's largest food processing facilities will be shutting down due to nearly 300 workers testing positive for the coronavirus. Smithfield Foods pork processing facility in South Dakota will shut down until further notice. 4 to 5% of America's pork production comes from this plant, which totals to about 130 million servings of food per week. The company still plans on paying their employees during the coming weeks, but they continue to worry about America's dwindling food supply.
And now we're Imani Martin with the latest in sports, as almost everything has come to a halt.
Thanks, Connor. Cory Coco Gauff is the youngest tennis player ranked in the top 100 by the Women's Tennis Association. She has a career-high ranking of number 49 in the world in singles and number 42 in doubles. At just 16 years old, she's accomplished a lot, but she says that she has contemplated taking a year off for mental health. She opened up about her struggle with depression and pressure of being so accomplished at such a young age. She says that this was a dark time in her life, but she plans to continue to play tennis. Center for the Rams, Brian Allen, is the first active player from the NFL to announce that he has tested positive for coronavirus. He said he noticed symptoms 3 weeks ago: loss of taste and smell, sore throat, fatigue, and headaches. Rams coach Sean McVay says that the team's facility was shut down and cleaned to ensure that no one else would be exposed. Sports fans nationwide are looking forward to being able to watch their favorite teams play in person. Ronald Waltman is a professor of global health at George Washington University and has also worked for the Centers for Disease Control and the World Health Organization. He feels that live sports cannot return until we see serious declines in the rate of infection. However, there is no way of knowing this when it will happen. He says that it may be a mistake to think that things will ever get back to normal. That's all for sports. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Amani. When we come back, Kevin Harold is sharing good deeds. People are giving back, and to each other.
And now Kevin Harold to tell us about the good impacts the world is making.
Thanks, Frank. 2 teenagers in Maryland started a no-contact grocery delivery service called Teens Helping Seniors. Like many teenagers, 16-year-old Drew Pye and 15-year-old Matt Casitano have been out of school for weeks. They said they were both helping out their families, delivering groceries to their grandparents, and they thought about the people who don't have family in the area. They wanted to start an organization to connect teens with elderly citizens and connect people with weakened immune systems who can't go out to get groceries. It works by senior citizens having to email their grocery list, and then they are connected with a volunteer teenager in the area. The teens will then wipe down all surfaces they come across with proper sanitation and follow the CDC guidelines. They have no face-to-face contact with the elderly. They pick up their cash and check, and they leave the groceries in a designated area. Teens Helping Seniors have made 80 deliveries, and they have seniors signing up weekly. If any teen wants to start this in their own area, all they have to do is email teenshelpingseniors@gmail.com.
Thank you, Kevin. While being in quarantine, many are watching all types of streaming applications. There are a lot of great things to watch right now, and Tiger King is one of them. It's one of the Netflix newest releases and has become a social phenomenon. The show follows a private zoo owners and covers polygamy, drug use, arson, suicide, murder, and even politics, while surrounding the main issue, exploitation of exotic animals.
A pregnant nurse dies of COVID-19, but her baby survives after emergency C-section. Mary Agawagawan worked at Luton and Dunstable University Hospital in London, and after being admitted and tested was found positive. The baby is doing well, and a GoFundMe page was set in after 24 hours. The page raised more than its original goal and is at $146,000. Are you feeling bored during the quarantine? After the break, learn more about what you can do to beat the boredom at home.
All the gyms are closed and people are losing their minds trapped in the house. The latest buzz on our social media is people sharing their exercises and meal plans to keep them in shape while in isolation. Here are a few tips to get fit. Use a daily calorie counter. This will help you determine how much you want to eat in one day with portions. Schedule your workouts in your calendar. This will create a specific routine for you to follow.
And that's it for this nightly news. I'm Connor Mason.
And I'm Frank Villarreal. Stay positive and stay safe, everybody.
And good night.